Hi everybody, my name is Mark and I'm the founder of Invisible People, a unique digital storytelling organization that uses video and social media to help fight homelessness. Kivi asked me to guest blog on the topic of repurposing content, and I have to tell you, I'm truly honored. As I started to think about this and repurposing content, I started flashing back to an earlier career when I worked in the television industry. But we don't call it repurposing, we call it reruns. I was executive producer for a weekly television show that aired Friday night prime time on the largest Christian broadcast network. I worked for a very large ministry, and it was this ministry's primary new name acquisition campaign. The show was a big deal. I produced a show on their Christian school, which was a marvelous school, and the show was well done, and I thought people would respond. The show aired and the response wasn't so good. In fact, the fundraising agency that worked with us felt it necessary to document and type out 11 pages on what they felt was wrong with the show. About 6 months later, got in a bind and I had to rerun that show. Interesting enough, the second time the show aired, it did great. The response was overwhelming. So much so that very same fundraising agency that had wrote out 11 pages of what they felt was wrong with the show sent me an email with basically one line that read, "I don't know what you did, but keep doing it." We didn't change a thing about the show. The show was exactly the same. We didn't edit anything different. It was the same show. The only difference was it aired at a different time and it reached a new audience. And that new audience supported our work. Invisible People, I have about 450 blog posts. I was listening to my favorite podcast, This Old Marketing. I highly recommend it. And they started talking about repurposing content. It made a lot of sense. So at the time, I was chief marketing officer for a large nonprofit that has services in 4 different cities and 14 thrift stores, a large retail chain that helps fund the programs. So I talked to Aaron, who is the marketing coordinator, and we had about a year's worth of content from consumer-generated content marketing strategy that we had started. Aaron started experimenting by repurposing some of the content and reposting it, and the results were immediate. We saw an increase in traffic right away. I was like, this is awesome. I've got to try it with Invisible People. So the first thing I did, because I'm a one-man band, was I signed up for Meet Edgar. Now, Meet Edgar is like your virtual community manager. You build libraries and then you schedule them out. And Meet Edgar just, is a service that helps you be able to manage basically automate your digital communications. I really like it, and they have a nonprofit discount. One thing I have to add, though, is if you're scheduling posts and something happens in the world, either really bad or even really good, take down your scheduled posts. You don't want to be that nonprofit that is sharing about your volunteer campaign during the Super Bowl or during some catastrophe when the whole world is talking about some current event. With Invisible People, because I was working another job in other situations, our traffic had it hit a slump. By using Meet Edgar and repurposing content, I was able to build that traffic back up to where it once was. And the lesson I learned in all that was the importance of consistency in storytelling. I have to really stress that, because if you are not sharing the story of your nonprofit and the people that you are helping on a consistent basis, you're going to have a really tough time building a loyal online audience of supporters, people to support your work. I really cannot stress enough how important it is to be sharing your story on a daily basis. And if you can't do it daily, as often as possible. If you don't, people will they'll just forget about you. Now, like the earlier story with the weekly television show being rerun, repurposing content allows you to try different times to reach a whole new audience, maybe a different distribution channel. Another interesting way to freshen stuff up is maybe add a graphic or an infographic or an animation. Another thing is that you can repurpose content in different forms. So you have, this blog post that's really neat, and you can turn that into an email and maybe do a video, and from that, maybe a keynote speech, or the other way around, from a keynote speech, create a video that creates a blog post that creates, an email. And, you can really be creative. But I highly recommend, I learned a lesson to stay consistent in my storytelling. I need to repurpose content. And to be quite honest, although that content on Invisible People might be old content to me, to most people, it's still brand new content. So I'd love to hear from you on what challenges you have, maybe tips, tricks, suggestions on the best way to repurpose content.